Dear brothers and sisters, this world is changing. It's changing rapidly. Everyone is talking about revolution, AI revolution, technological revolution, social change. Most normal Christians react in a negative way. Okay, that the end of times is coming, that the morals are being destroyed, that control and brainwashing are getting worse, traditional values are being destroyed, challenged. So this is normal, this is common. However, it's important to see that in every period of transformation, period of revolution, that is the time when the church grew. Okay? That is the time when God has used that opportunity to bring up some great fruits. Okay, this may sound counterintuitive, okay? Because usually we think that normal people are suffering, they're getting poor, okay? We have famine, we have war, everyone is suffering except some elite who are reaping the fruits of this. Okay, so they are happy. These Satanists who have all the power and all the money in the world. However, not only they can benefit for very different reasons, and with very different outcome. But we need to see that every revolution, change, crisis, even catastrophe, is also creating great opportunities for Christ. And to see this, we can go back, we can look back at the time of Christ himself. Okay, just recently we've celebrated his coming to this world. When did he come? He came to this world at the time of change, of a time of big catastrophe of the old world. Okay, in the West, all the philosophies were bankrupt. Okay, in the East, okay, in Judea, we have all these different sects. Why? Because that was the time of crisis. People could not rely anymore on traditional ways of doing things. Many people saw that the temple worship is corrupt. The scenes, they created their own way of worshiping. And others, okay, all of that was a great challenge because people were already discovering that the way things are done is wrong and something new is needed. So this opportunity, of course, creates conditions for despondency, for revolt, for lack of any faith, okay, for all kinds of sects and superstitions, okay, and this is why in those days the heresies were so prominent, and all kinds of Eastern cults were so prominent in the 1st century AD. In this Roman Empire, we have Mithraism, we have other sects, we have Zoroastrianism and other stuff, okay, coming in those days. And those centuries with the Gnosticism, all those weird teachings of many Manichaeans, okay, and many others, okay. Those things, they became so popular in those days because of that crisis. There was some vacuum. People were not content enough anymore with all those gods, with Zeus and Jupiter and whatnot. They were looking for something else. Most of them went into a very sinful life, okay, into drugs, into all kinds of perversion, okay, into all kinds of hedonism, okay, materialism, disbelief in anything, atomism. All those nihilistic teachings were prominent in those days because people were fed up with some idealistic utopias which were preached by older generations. Okay, so this is at that time the Christ himself comes. He comes in those times because it is at that time there is the opportunity for some people to just throw this out and receive the true Messiah. Because he says, I'm coming, I'm bringing everything new. You cannot put new wine into old flasks. Okay? So, we see that all his followers are all these mostly marginalized people who are former harlots, stuff like that. Okay, they went through so much crisis in their lives, but at the end of the day, they became Christians. Okay, they threw all of that away, their former world, their comfortable way of life. They threw this away and they became disciples and apostles of Christ. Okay? And they've brought half of the world to Christ. Okay? So that example is very vivid. Okay? We have other examples. We have the example of this big crisis in the end of the 3rd century, beginning of the 4th century, with also all kinds of tribulations in this physical world. For example, in the south, in Alexandria, in Egypt, in that area, there were 2 famines. Okay, like we have these pandemics, but much worse. Okay, people were dying on the streets. And only Christians, they went and they were caring for those sick. Everybody else left, abandoning their relatives. Okay, just leaving everything and in the fear running somewhere else. And that's when everybody could see what true Christianity is really like. Okay, all those philosophers, they ran away. Okay, all those moralists, etc. It was all these heresies, all these heretics, everybody ran away. It was only those true Christians who stayed and who sacrificed themselves and risked everything to take care about these sick people by the commandment of Christ. Okay, so at that time there was great success because there was testimony that God, what is true faith, what does it mean that someone truly believes in God and loves Him. And half of the world became Christian, Orthodox. Okay, the whole Roman Empire collapsed eventually, but became Christian. And all those peoples who've populated that area, they became Christians. Many nominal, yes, but still the true Christians became much more numerous than in the early ages, in the early centuries. They became much more numerous. This is evident, and we see it from this phenomenon of the Holy Fathers, for example. Okay, so similar things happened later, okay, with the baptism of Russia, okay, the conversion of all Slavic lands at the time of Saint Vladimir, and many problems. Yes, I'm not making this rosy and shiny. Many problems, many issues. However, great success for the mission most of the time. Sometimes we've missed this opportunity. There was this great opportunity for that in Russia at the end of 19th century and beginning of the 20th century. Okay, it was partly used. Some people truly in those days became true Christians, but not everybody. Most people drifted away or went into some other sect. Similar things were happening in Japan. For example, in our region, in Taiwan, this China in those days also, okay, in the 19th century and early 20th century, went through great social change. And it was in those days when St. Nicholas of Japan, he began his mission, and it was very successful. And he himself says that this is because the society is bankrupt, okay? The old world is destroyed. Now the Europe moves from the former feudalist structure to this new world. Call it capitalist, call it democratic, okay? But it's a new world that Japan was moving into, and people were not satisfied with their former religion, beliefs, system of values. And many of them found true faith. And the mission grew very quickly because it was done by someone who knew what he was doing, who loved Christ. Okay? And also there was quite a big of success in China, okay, for that matter, but unfortunately later it was stalled by Leviathan, okay, this prince of this world who was able to put a cap on that, okay, through this communist regime. And going back to Russia, okay, we have this perestroika in the 80s and 90s. And it was also a great catastrophe for the nation, for people. And many people lost themselves. They went, somebody went to drugs, to suicides, sects, all kinds of crazy things, destruction. But many found Christ. That was in that time. And the church also grew by a great number, not just in numbers, brothers and sisters. People who truly found faith and love towards God became many, much more than before. So now we should not be afraid if the world is collapsing. Okay, if there are wars and the rumors of wars, and we have all kinds of other challenges, we have this brainwashing coming from AI, we have all kinds of social problems in rich countries, in poor countries, risk of famine, all kinds of changes, tribulations, this danger of this apocalyptic control. surveillance state and other stuff which is coming, we should not be afraid, brothers and sisters. We should not be afraid. We should not be ready. We should be ready to face any kind of challenge. And now we're approaching the great land, and we need to know how this works. Human nature doesn't like change, as I said. So people love to live in some shell, in some little world, in their comfort zone. But the great land gives us the opportunity to break out of this comfort zone. Like these challenges that are coming, these tribulations, they help the humanity overall to come out of their comfort zones. Many will be swayed by this new world order. But we must not be among them, and we must know that in the process, many can find Christ. And the devil knows himself. So when he does it, he knows that there is a great risk. When this old world is being broken, he knows that there is a risk that some people will jump out of his claws. So, brothers and sisters, we have to be very wise, and we have to be very strong in our faith, so that in this time of world when he is being broken, we must do testimony of our love towards Christ. We must bring God to everyone, to people near us and people far away from us. This is what the Lord is expecting from us, and not just wailing and weeping about this lost world and these traditional values which are now being compromised, etc. Try not to be among those, always in frustration, always complaining, always weeping. This is a spirit of Cain. Do you know? Do you know that? It's the spirit of Cain which always complains. All those people, all those bad people. Everybody goes to hell. Everything goes to hell. Okay, so let's say, imagine somebody living in Muslim surroundings, okay, his family, the whole country are Muslims, okay. If everything is smooth and stable and traditional, it is highly unlikely that he will ever become Christian. But when the war begins and all kinds of crazy teachings come and everything is changing, yes, many people will go crazy, will die, or will do something else. But it also creates this necessity to think. And some people will use this opportunity to think and rethink their values, their traditions, their what they've learned from their parents, great parents. So abiding to the traditions and ways of fathers and parents is not always a good thing, brothers and sisters. It can be a great obstacle to the mission of Christ. When everything is nice and comfortable, people do not become Christians. They do not come to Christ. They just keep on going in their direction of life. They're Jews, they will keep being Jews. Judaists. They are Muslims, or they are atheists, or there's something else. They will keep on living in that shell, in that box. Okay? And now people, they don't like challenge. Okay, they want to remain in childhood. They want to have less responsibilities. But the Lord is allowing this to happen, okay? This world go through this challenge. Let's say you want someone to learn swimming. Of course, it is better to teach him every day, step by step, but sometimes it doesn't work. He doesn't want to learn, or you don't have those conditions for that. So somebody just comes and throws him into water, okay? A bad guy. And there are chances that he will die. There is a risk. And maybe he wanted him to die. But he learns to swim. And now he is much stronger. He can survive any challenge that is coming later, okay? In the process, many people will drown. Many people will maybe go crazy in the process, okay? But some will use that opportunity and survive and become much stronger. So this is not the way I would teach somebody swimming, okay? But sometimes there is no other way. And the Lord just comes and makes this happen, allows this to happen, allows those wars to happen, allows famine to happen, revolutions, and all kinds of other bad things that we consider bad. AI, controlling minds and feelings and hearts and destinies of millions. So let us be strong, brothers and sisters. Let us have humbleness in our hearts. Let us prepare for anything that may be coming. And the way to prepare it is to prepare for the great land. Okay? To prepare to go through these passions that the Lord went through, and to allow Him to burn out anything which is still in us, which is an obstacle, which belongs to the old me, okay, which prevents me from spiritual freedom, okay. Even if it's uncomfortable, if it's painful, do not be afraid, brothers and sisters. Do not be afraid. We rely fully on Him, not on our own strength, and we surrender ourselves to Him. Okay? Not being afraid of anything, any pain, and even if we have to die, we must be ready for that. Okay? At least in our mind. Okay? Maybe in our heart we are still cowards, but at least in our mind we need to be ready for that. Okay? Only in this way we may bring the fruit that the Lord is expecting from each and every one of us. As long as we are Christians, this is what He is expecting from us. We see how sects and heretics and all other superstitions, how they are seizing these opportunities. Very often they succeed much more. They're not afraid. But we are, for some reason. Or we won't be irresponsible. We want to say, well, just send some other Saint Nicholas to do that. I will just stay at home and let the providence of God will do all the works for me. Okay. I'm a small person, I'm not a saint, it's all in this providence of God, His divine plan. Okay. This is a big error, brothers and sisters. Many Orthodox have that error. They expect the providence of God to do everything for them. And this is not how it works. Okay? May the Lord give us this courage. May He give us the strength and understanding of what He wants from us and how to do that. And may He change our hearts so that they are full of love self-sacrifice, and full of eagerness to accomplish the works of the Lord and bring rich fruits that may bring to salvation both us and people around us. I mean, God bless, brothers and sisters.